Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting, innovating, and amazing Propagandacast from the host and Pearl Dane. The one, the only master propaganda hero, like defender of the fatherland, off here to a glorious 1v1 on Nexus. In the east it is Finndeed, fighting for the Wehrmacht, Germany, Deutschland. Here with the 3rd Panzerdivision featuring Lightning War, Mechanized, and Spearhead. In the west it is Suroa, fighting for the Red Army, the Soviet Union, Comrade Stalin. Here with the 5th Guards, Mechanized Corps with Armored Assault, Airborne Troops, and Guard Motor. And as always, a big hearty thanks to my patrons, supporters, champions, and heroes, one and all. Without them and their glorious support, the Propagandacast would not be able to keep doing what it does. So big thanks to all those. Other people can join the ranks by Patreon, get my undying gratitude, or they can donate by PayPal. Links in the description. Finally, commenting, liking, sharing, subscribing will, of course, also be quite helpful there to help spread out the videos to more people. So, gunner the MD42 for Finndeed, heading northwards there for Deutschland. Very focused push here by Finndeed, ensuring he doesn't get overwhelmed there. Meanwhile, sort of going for a more broader approach here, allows to see some more territory, but also shows in a sense, feel out Finndeed's front line here, suss him out, and figure out the next move here. Sandbags here, aggressive sandbagging in a sense, if you will. But while here, makes it harder for Finndeed to go from the base and move up here for example and secure the point. So makes things slightly more awkward here. Finndeed shifting force towards the centre as the MD42 is very much left to its own devices here by the northern field point, relying largely on the terrain here to ensure that Suroa doesn't outmaneuver it. Of course, there's still the building here, which you can pop into and sort of harass the machine gun here. But can't, for example, easily outmaneuver it without Finndeed spotting it around here. But anyways, first engagement there with Northern Field Point. Grenadiers Pioneers catching the country here south of the central victory point here. Second Grenadiers going the way. They're falling back towards a heavy cover here. Finndeed debating forces northwards here. Machine gun needs to reposition. It could maybe win this engagement. The problem is just out in the open. Yeah, it's going to lose out ultimately, though. More troops being fact northwards, machine gun repositioning. And we can see there Suroa is quick to pick up the pace here to pursue the MD42 crew and exterminate these fascist fiends. Triple conscripts don't use for Suroa, most likely means Guard Motor here though. Suroa could of course pull a swift surprise here on us. 3rd Gunnery Squad for Finndeed and the German army. Gunnery striking forward here to assist the machine gun crew, which is already low in health and will likely have to retreat here. He could keep fighting with it, but there's just an increased chance Suroa appears and then kills the crew, at which point Finndeed's going to be short an MD42. Which is typically not what you want to be as the Wehrmacht. 3rd Gunnery Squad almost ready, could start taking up here. Suroa so far continues to initiative Finndeed choosing the engagement, and Finndeed does keep using the machine at least for a bit longer, but again, very risky at this point, very risky. Not only just 2 men, but those men are very low on health, so no matter how much faith he's got in Deutschland there, that can only take him so far against the most Nagant bolt action rifles. Needs to push back, constantly about here. Suroa again looking to pick his fights smartly here versus Finndeed. Southern victory point by is yet to be seized. Constantly being bled out here by Suroa's frontal here. Pioneers being focused down rapidly as unattended. They can actually do a fair amount of damage, like a lot of basic infantry up close. And there you go, MD42 joining in it, but again, it is super low on health. He does push back his Suroa's forces successfully with ultimately only minor losses. Good there for Finndeed and the German army, but that one is definitely starting to give me a bit of anxiety. Only starting to take up here. Might be planning a 4th Grenadier squad here. Again, 4 Grenadier builds becoming more popular with Wehrmacht players as of late, so maybe Finndeed's planning that. So far, none of that. We got Suroa with the support armor corps, not support armor corps, but the support company. Sorry about that one. Could push for the tank or Reaper command there. Maybe plan to push out some fast light vehicle services Finndeed. Machine gun there finally retreating there. Bunker up, they're being built here from Finndeed. Meanwhile, as he's waiting for the tech to be done, sees in the centre, heading towards the southern car point. And Suroa, to the surprise of very few people here, goes for Guard Motor. Again, it is just a very straightforward, powerful commander with a variety of just very solid abilities and units, but also crucially in terms while people will go for 3 constant engineers at the same time, another reason it's so popular is you can technically go for a variety of builds and just go for it. It is very easy to include most build rulers as well, which I think is another reason why Guard Motor is so popular as well. It just simply requires less from you to be good as well. Constantly northwards here, sandbags down there, mines as well here. Good maneuver here, but Suroa just rapid entrenching there, which was actually something that's in sort of German, reports and whatnot. You sort of notice a lot that when reading is they noticed the Soviets were quite good at rapidly digging in once they, taking ground. The Germans could counteract shortly after then so it's will be, you know, fairly well dug in there. So fun note there. Gunny's ground the point, but again, slightly awkward here with this path, you know, easy path there being messed up with barbed wire. We got sandbags, barbed wire, mines. Grab northern points here. Indeed, slowly launching a counterattack to north. We got Gunners with the light machine gun. No command yet here for him. And there you go, force for the point here faster, because again, like if he does, and this could make things seem more difficult for him. And we got 2 engagement there versus Finndeed and Suroa up north there. Suroa's troops pushed back. There's still 1 conscript there to block the way, but could open up for a part. Finndeed to reclaim the north. In the south, though, things are getting a bit more dicey here. Suroa is quick to pace through here. Finndeed's southern forces, but we do have the armored card here, the 2-2. And Suroa has no anti-tank grenades, no guardsmen, and he only now has a field gun on the way. So we can see in the south here, Suroa completely is forced to concede ground here to Finndeed and the German army, who quickly makes use of the armored car's ability to run over barbed wire. Who needs wire cutters when you got wheels? Gunners reinforcing, machine gun there being forced as well up north here, points being seized, well not actually being seized, interesting enough, he just basically buggers off from that. No further sign of tech yet from Suroa. We've got the CIS-3 divisional field gun out there for Suroa and the Red Army. Graham the car only looking to deny Finndeed, Suroa some of his munitions. Good work there by Finndeed. Will certainly make it harder for Suroa to just lay down a lot of mines and also easily go for guards rifle with the DP light machine guns. More light machines there for Finndeed. I mean, at this point, I think it's like he's going to end up with Lightning War here or Spearhead, since, you know, he's got 2 Tiger Commanders here versus Suroa. He could, of course, go for Mechanized, but at least my instincts here are sort of telling me Tiger Tank. Mine goes off in the south here, killing Helmut und Otto. Tank will be tank up there for Suroa and the Red Army. Very, very likely going to be a T-7 light tank here versus Finndeed. Armored Combi fortress with the conscript north here. Could pop the incendiary on his rounds, but then again there's a field gun right nearby, which will bombard the UFO-2, making that less great. So understandably just pulls back the machine gun rather than trying to pop the incendiary piercing rounds. Another machine gun here for Finndeed. I mean, not a bad choice, though I think some Panzer Grenadiers could also be a nice addition here for Finndeed, personally. But certainly nothing wrong in more machine guns. But there you go. Quick maneuver here, but Finndeed catches the field and crew in a pretty rancid spot here and is quick to pursue there. We got Inconvenience wing to block, but that machine crew will definitely take a bit of beating up north here. Conscripts are pressed still, but aiming for 2 grab northern fuel put as well. We can see that Finndeed is now turning this into a potential double fuel cap here versus Suroa, which could definitely make things fairly uncomfortable here for the Red Army. As if Finndeed can pull ahead for medium armor fairly rapidly over Suroa, Suroa's situation definitely gets a lot more tricky. Back here, nothing further transparent for Finndeed. He's not quite within range of taking up there, but we do have that second MD4 team up there. Suroa with a mortar cancels it, yeah. T7 instead, like, now mind if you've gone for Guard Motor, you typically want the heavy mortar, so I was a bit like surprised at that one. Pack 40 here for Finndeed. Obviously starting to expect the T70 light tank here from his Marxist opponent. T70 halfway done, hanging southwards here for the southern carve point there. Armored car being fixed at the Finndeed's Pioneer. North Michigan holding up, and there we go. We got that Panzer up there, Kanone 40 out there for Finndeed. Comes with the gun DC, armored car joining in. Frontovics sent packing when faced with Deutschland. In the south, it goes for the conscript light machine and fire rifle fire tang into the conscript, sent being seized by the Pioneer. And there we go, T7 light tank out for Suroa and the Red Army. Up north, there mines on there for Suroa, light machine fire then actually not light, medium machine gun fire, then the engineers pushing them back here. Finndeed really not making use of those machines, plus the armored car to really control the field against Suroa's infantry, really necessitating not just the T70, and he actually did go for the regular mortar. I'm actually surprised at that. I mean, it's not that it's a bad mortar, not at all, but it's just, you know, the heavy mortar is so good. So I'm a bit surprised at the lack of a heavy mortar here from Suroa, but again, it's not because the PM41 82mm mortar is bad. Again, no, not one bit. It is quite a good mortar as well. It's just the heavy mortar is a better one. But that aside, it is a good move here by Suroa to at least go for a mortar. It, I think, is crucially versus the current place left indeed, which is heavily, you know, founded on multiple support teams like machine guns. So having smoke screens to like quickly disable those, I think, is a really smart move there by Suroa. And of course, also crucially makes it harder for the Pack 40s to get easy shots on the T7 as well there. So thumbs up there to Suroa. South side, though, is wide open. And there's certainly a chance that Suroa might be getting tunnel vision on the north here. And that way, missing out on what, I think helped Finndeed up, which again was just tactical flexibility, like realizing, okay, the north is going to be difficult to seize. How about we have a look at the southern point and going, oh, hey, yeah, that's slightly defended. We'll just gobble that up. And Suroa is not quite, I would say, making that, shall we say, tactical move right now versus Finndeed. Suroa's just kind of going, comrades, we need to take the north, no matter the cost. But what about the south? Forget about the south. In a sense, they almost got the MU-42 here. One kill there on the third mortar. Finndeed, the support McCourt's going to push for some Panzerwaffe here versus Suroa and the Red Army, who will definitely need to push from T-3035 soon. T-center being repaired here by the two engineer squads. Center being grabbed, but again, crucially, both fuel points here, at least now or soon, in the control of Finndeed, and Suroa, yeah, it doesn't. So there definitely needs to be, a shifting tactics here from Suroa. There needs to be, I think, again, a more aggressive move towards, like, heading out the east here to grab fuel points here from Finndeed. Because by just focusing so much in the north, it's just allowed Finndeed to, like, just conduct some very efficient defense economy and, basically hold the entire south for free. And that's simply not what you want your opponent to be able to do. Like, you don't want them to, like, be able to hold a significant chunk of the resources for no investment. But there you go, pushing southwards again, realizing, hang on, we just left the entire south open to just, the enemy doing whatever they want to do, and Suroa is quickly moving in to now put a stop to that. So thumbs up there to Suroa, but could have done this sooner. Finndeed can soon go for a Panther 4. Could honestly get away with an Osman rush here. Mines as well there. Good work by Suroa. South being claimed here by the Red Army here. 45th Motorized Guards Rifle Brigade. He's being 40 under fire from the conscripts. Field gun heading southwards here. Guards will find where the DP light machine guns also crucial up to 4 infantry squads versus Finndeed now has 3. So also potentially if the Suroa do more work now versus Finndeed, but I think a slightly better force conversation. Mortar though, again, could do with a bit more smoking here and there, I think. Though actually should first flare up, then pop the smokes and then make a, I think, decisive push here versus Finndeed. I think for example, like, where it's just like use the flare here, spot the situation with Finndeed, then pop smoke, they probably could like make a push there and completely, maybe get some wipes there on Finndeed and turn the situation around Finndeed aggressive. But still, Suroa is now making good progress, and again, crucial part of this was just heading for where Finndeed wasn't. It's surprising how much gains you can make when you attack where your opponent isn't. Anyways, Panther 4 halfway done here for Finndeed. So, one of those pieces of advice I would like to point out to like any players, like, consider if your opponent is at one point, have you tried checking the other points? They may not in fact be there. James being pushed back with the Gundee, or engineers pushed back with the Gundees, backed up the hanging machine gun team there. Panther 4 almost done. Suroa will need some more field guns out soon here, I think. They're not close to any armor here so far versus Finndeed. But there you go, Panzerkampfwagen Viergefechtsbereit there for the German army. Rifle needs off here. Conscript field gun up against the advancing Pack 40. That's a bit risky, honestly, there by Finndeed. Machine guns being wiped out as well. Hit good use of the flare there. Finndeed's situation there definitely is like a lot more dangerous now. It's just like trying to like handle this southern front breach here. Oh, got a wipe though on him, but lost the pack. So this is definitely getting pretty spicy. Meanwhile, up north, the fuel point being seized away here. Machine gun pushed back there. Pack again is cleared out. Field gun up into the Panther 40. He's trying to hit it. Conscripts could seize the Pack 40, but no, there's a machine gun. Oh, blocking the way that Panther 4 pushing through. His situation for Suroa is now turning suddenly very sour here. As Finndeed there swings hard up north here from the south from an angle Suroa clearly wasn't ready for himself. That said, Finndeed, without sufficient in support there, is forced to concede here. And again, the lack of Pack 40 also makes things tougher. Guards moving in there. Northern fuel point has been read on neutral. Suroa with more guards rifle infantry calling in small infantry. That way, Chackle, the hardened grenadiers under Finndeed, and the 3rd Panzer Division's command here. Field gun gets another great another Panther 4. Rifling in the guardsman, killing Sergei here. But Konstantin there leads the squad to victory. And there you go, Panther 4 kills Konstantin, leaving Yuri to lead the squad. And then Boris, as Yuri also drops dead. Destroying the Pack 40 here because he can't get his hands on it, I think is very sensible. He's even using spotting on the T-70 to make sure he can destroy that Pack 40. Thumbs up to Suroa here. As you notice, the match suddenly starts to pick up when, they lose that tunnel vision and start to remember there's a larger map at hand. Back here, Mechanized on a company. Their Suroa needs hard to work. And Finndeed in them. Actually, a surprise move. There goes for Mechanized. Not that I disagree. I do think Mechanized is a solid commander. I prefer Mechanized assault myself, but command tanks, half tanks are certainly nice. Vehicle repair is also good ability. Of course, the spotting scopes are nice, and the houses certainly is not a bad thing either. So, of course, have to see how Finndeed makes use of all of this sort of put forward to him.
Our opponents are seizing a sector.
As for Suroa, they can soon start churning out those T-35s, which will be a challenge for Finndeed. They're also getting extra both fuel points. I mean, from a rough start, the Suroa's, again, through the power of tactical maneuvers similar to Finndeed earlier, has been able to shift the map control back in their favor. So, again, remember, if your opponent's like dug in, well, 1 point, consider trying out the other one. You may just find your opponent isn't, then you can just quickly make, gains and catch your opponent off guard as well at the same time. Finndeed again, a bit sharper here, of course. Switch the southwards already quickly there. They're still keeping up some forces northwards. Perhaps a diversion. Perhaps just to buy time as the southern points being grabbed. It's hard to say here, of course, what Finndeed is exactly thinking. Also, more mines have been laid down by Suroa. Thumbs up to that. Pack 40 again here for Finndeed. The Panzer up there, Kanone 40. Machine coming up here. Pioneers moving in. Well, of course, he has brought in 2 Pioneer squads by now. Thumbs up to that. Now, of course, want to consider more minesweepers. There you go, fresh pack 40 out, and there you go. Should have run those minesweepers. Heinz there gets his feet blown off cleanly, plus other bits. But yeah, Suroa very close to that T-35. Mortar there with 1 kill still, but this veterans who won. 394 versus 381, fairly close in terms of victory points. Panther at the ready up north here for Finndeed and the German army. Armor car being fixed up. Got the spotting shot ready as well there. Panther northward shoots and blows apart some squirrels. Communist squirrels. T-35 there for Suroa. Grenadiers are firing away from the building. Guardsman T-70 to the position as well there. And he's about to collapse there. Further about to collapse there. I think both players make the wise move getting out of that building before they get the men entombed there for all eternity. Only to then be discovered by some archaeologists like 1,000 years later and trying to figure out what the hell happened there. Clearly this was a ritual to the sun god gone wrong with rifles. Well, back then. No, not really. T-35 there on the way. And there we go, ready for Suroa and the Red Army. More DP light machine guns on the way there, of course, significantly increasing Suroa's firepower of Finndeed's infantry. Ooh, machine caught in a bit of a bad spot. He could actually kill the gunner, perhaps. No. Gets lucky there. The second machine gun team, a guard squad there, pretty much forces Finndeed to pull back the machine gun team. The south here, Pioneers caught in a bit more spot here by the T-35, and of course, also crucially signaling to Finndeed, there is a T-35. Not that I imagine Finndeed at this point was particularly surprised at that development. North, the armoured car MG42 is in the news here. Panther 4 south here for Finndeed and the German army. Guessing a Panther 4 next. They could try for the command tank, but I think that's the T-35. The other one, so that's a regular Panther 4 more or some Stugs, honestly. We shall of course see what Finndeed actually does. And there you go, Stug 3D on the way for Finndeed. Thumbs up. You've been caught with the Guardsman, taking heavy loss there from them and the T-35, and it's 85mm gun, hence the 85 in its name. Similarly, the T-34-76 had a 76mm gun, and the T-34-57 had a, you guessed it, 57mm gun. Stug 3G halfway done here for Finndeed and the German army, constantly being pummeled by the Panther 4. And there you go, round it, Pack 40 up and the T-35 there, punches through its frontal armour. See something about there.
Our territory is falling into enemy hands.
He's been caught here by the T-35 out in the open. But there we go, it's going to get a Panther 5 stall here. Damaging the engine of the T-35. Stug almost done here for Finndeed and Deutschland. Panther 4 there. Closing in on Veterans 1. Sturmgeschütz gefechtsbereit. Guardsman grounded by the 222. Finndeed definitely facing a tougher time, but the north is now kind of open again for Finndeed and the 3rd Panzerdivision. 5th Panzergrenadier Company. Also, very consistent use of flares here by Suroa. Thumbs up. Duke supporting a light push into the north here. Adding the spotting scopes there. Very good. Pack 40 up in the T70. Note this is an early model Duke 3G. You can notice that on the gun mantlet there, which is much more blocky. Later models would have a more rounded gun mantlet, increasing chances of shot bouncing off there. Plus, it also typically have a remote control machine gun here. That's another sort of fun side fact there. Gunny's machine heading northwards here for the fuel point and the victory point there. Finndeed, again, quick to sort of exploit any gaps here, make the Suroa on the sides, and that way getting resource advantage that way. But Suroa again is starting to pick up with this and starting to, you know, push back hard at Finndeed though. He may of course find himself not quite ready for what awaits him. The Sturmgeschütz with a Panzerfaust on the Grenadiers. T-35 taking some nasty damage here. We've got engineers rushing in it. Finndeed could try and finish off the T-35 here, as I don't think Suroa is quite within range of quickly supporting this. But he's bringing another T-35 here. Moving forwards here. The Stradbury in this case saves, of course, also a lot of mines here. Smoke also being deployed by Suroa. Thumbs up. Southeast, so the infantry swiftly advancing there for the glory of the Red Army. Back here, reinforcing healing. More Grenadiers here for Finndeed. I mean, more infantry I think is a good move, but again, personally, I would have liked to see some Panzer Grenadiers, but I think the crucial part here is Finndeed is bringing himself up to 4 infantry squads. That way, matching Suroa, but also just having a, I think, much more solid infantry complement. T-35 from 40, going to be flanked here with the Grenadiers. Fill into this. Second T-35 almost ready there for Suroa. Grenadiers routed. South here, pawns being seized. Repositioning a bit here. South here being forward. Scouts from the Grenadiers as well there. Grenade off. Mortar fire here, definitely not looking great for the southern push, in part due to a critical lack of like any heavier support, no artillery support, no machine guns, and of course no tanks. Meaning here for these Grenadiers basically sent in to die on their own in case the opponent was dug in, and there was definitely at least enough troops arguably at least somewhat dug in. So that was kind of a waste of infantry there by Finndeed. And some easy kills for Suroa. Feeling caught there by the Grenadier Stuke moving forwards. No pin machine added to the Stuke, by the way. You can soon go for a Panther 4 or a command tank. You could also very soon go for the Stuke 3D number 2 if you wanted to. Of course, whether or not Finndeed so decides, that is an entirely different line of inquiry. Mortar there, 3 kills. Yeah, 2 T-35s is definitely a challenge here for Finndeed. In particular, Suroa's like supports him well in doing an attack here. It could give Finndeed a severe case of indigestion. But there you go, catching the T-35, landing up some great hits from the south. Finndeed is one to a forced retreat here in the face of a spirited counter-response here by Suroa and the Red Army here. Stuke from the north here, catching the T-70, a great shot there with its Senfam cannon. Punches cleanly through the T-70's rear armor. Marked target though on the Stuke. Suroa clearly hoping to convince the Stuke to go elsewhere or die. So there you go, Finndeed quickly pulling back the Stuke, but still gave some shots here, partly thanks to the spotting scopes and the Panther 4 and the Stuke. Spotting for the Pack 40 here, thumbs up. Grenadiers Pioneer setting out there for Finndeed's base. No sign of additional armor yet, but I'm guessing it's not a Stuke at the very least he's planning. So like the Panther 4, but could again be a command tank, as it's quite good as the infantry can deploy smoke, and also of course help his Panther 4 and Stuke survive longer versus Suroa's stuff. So I mean there would be arguments here for going for the command tank, but honestly just going for a Panther 4 is also pretty good obviously. Got a bit of a 50-50 split here in terms of map control, but slightly there to Finndeed as he controls the centre victory point. He's been caught out in the end by the T-35 and the Soda infantry. The machine is running excellent cannon fire. The lack of incendiary arms around, so that means he's going to have to fall back soon, I think. Or for that matter, the lack of artillery. Pack 4 lands good hitting there on the T-35. Finndeed is either planning a howitzer or possibly T-4 is just too caught up in what's going on the front line, because he's starting to flood a fair amount of manpower fuel here. So the question, of course, is what is Finndeed thinking here versus Suroa, who's bringing in the Katyusha here for more artillery? And certainly something a bit more explosive, as I say. There you go. Finndeed does go for tier 4 here, roughing it off. They're killing, well, not much there, really, but we got the T-35 ready to kill some Germans. Sturmgeschütz moving in there. North Air Panther 4 clashing with the Guardsmen, gaining veterans on the process here. At this point, both sides a bit more evenly matched, but also I think a bit more, again, tunnel vision there. They're sort of forgetting about the sides of the map here. Well, not a huge degree, but they're not, for example, making their big movements there. Still, with Guardsmen attempts to harass the north by Suroa, but the Panther 4 could shut that down. Similarly in the south, any light maneuvers will be shut down fairly efficiently by the T-35s. They can't need to start making more aggressive moves here, but neither player seems willing to commit to a larger engagement on the sides here. North Air Panther catching the Guardsman here, killing Sergei. And there you go, routed the Guardsman there. There we go, comes from the center pin down here by the enemy 42 veteran, 2 full kills. Gunners 1 more probing ahead here. Katusha didn't quite have the huge impact I imagine Sword I'd hoped for versus Finndeed. We also got a bit of smoky being deployed, but not quite any follow-up on it though. As for Finndeed, he could build a Spommel Core, and he could go for a Panther, or Sturmpanzer, or a bunch of Panzerwerfers. So we'll have to see what he's planning. There goes Stooping Pursuit. The veterans won the gained. T-35 shot active bounces off the Duke's frontal armor. Panther fast off then the T-35. Stu coming to deal with that. Nothing further transpiring in Finndeed's base. As for Suroa's base, a fresh march of troops there under his glorious Marxist command. Machine repositioning here, fixing up the Sturmgeschütze. Currently setting out here for Finndeed and the German army. Aircraft shot at the skies, excellent for Finndeed, less excellent for Suroa. Chilling about here. MD42 is the conscripts. Up north it comes to the conscripts there as well. In the south here, Finndeed's going to do his 100 work here versus Suroa and the army. Pack 4 being forwards here. 2 Grenadier squads advancing here for the glory of the German army. Panther 4 Stuke moving ahead, slowly creeping forwards here. Suroa seemingly not entirely sure as to how he wants to deal with this, which is great for Finndeed. The south here comes to the T-35. Quickly routing them. Get it with the field gun there, but it's been caught by the Grenadiers. T-34 still got the mortar as well. 4 killed, close veteran free here. Northern point being harassed there as Finndeed now commits to the centre. Suroa there sneaking up some troops there. They're good. Mortar crew though in some deep sickably out there as they're about to get murdered. And there you go, Finndeed here. Building heavy Panther Corps, Katusha around the centre could wipe out stuff and instead hits exactly where none of the Germans are exactly. There's some pretty rubbish luck there for Suroa. That is some spectacular luck. In terms of bad luck, that is. Imagine if it hit the Pack 40, that would have been pretty devastating for Finndeed or the Grenadiers. That would also have been pretty bad, but instead it just managed to land right between the Grenadiers and the Pack 40, doing absolutely no harm there. That's got to have been a bit frustrating there for Suroa. North there, conscript northern victory point here. Guard from flanking the Panther for their anti-tank rifles. You can catch them a field gun there. So, we'll have to see what Finndeed is exactly planning. He's planning a Panther, he needs to lose a bit more there, but not by a lot really. Sturmpanzer of course could help out too, but we shall see what Finndeed is truly scheming here versus his opponent. Far up north here, Panther 4 clashing with the conscripts, machine gun and main gun fire, raking through the Soviet troops, and we do get a Panzerwerfer for Finndeed. He's going for rocket artillery of his own. Heading for the southern point, then to grab it. Not a bad idea there. But there definitely is a bit of a stalemate going on here between Finndeed and Suroa. They've got roughly the same amount of victory points. Map-wise, again, they're sort of controlling roughly the same. They got roughly the same size force as well there. So it definitely feels like a bit of a stalemate here where, either of them really, has to, make the first big move. And neither player is particularly keen on that. You occasionally get that with some players, got sort of two more defensively minded players in some ways, at least not, big attackers. And then you like, kind of with these situations like both players like, hoping for the other one to make the move so they can like, exploit that. We're seeing the almost being wiped out with the Katyusha fire there. There we go. This is absolutely brutal there for Finndeed. This could be exactly the opening here. Suroa was looking for Finndeed to actually land some devastating rockets here, casting the center to bulge inwards. The Guardsmen following up here. Panther Force being used to counterattack here in the south. Stuke pushing back the T-35. The T-70 is rushing in, interestingly enough here. Damage engine as well. His situation is then not clearly going as well as would have hoped for. And we got the Panther barrage off here from Finndeed, causing some damage here to Suroa, but not enough to really force him off. The Stuke gaining about T2 in the center. Guardsmen pushed back here, even as the render point neutral against Finndeed. We got 309 versus 294. T-35 rushing towards the center here, looking to maybe catch some German infantry. Other T-35's almost fixed up here. Catching the Grenadiers here. And once more, Suroa sneaks some troops northwards to hit the northern points again. Counter with the Grenadiers here. MD4 true repositioning. Got 11 kills, ace level on that machine gun crew. Panzer 4 very close to FT2 here. Another push here in the center towards the victory point there, but Finndeed is ready there. Going to the south, the T-5's going for the Stuke there. Virtually 2 there is almost halfway to FT3 there. Pop smoke rapidly. Actually does not pop smoke, it's actually a heat shell there. They're not bad either though. Almost got one in the T-35s here. Oh dear, that definitely did not go the way Suroa hoped for. But he almost did get the Stuke. There's like really close there, really close. Would have been certainly helpful there for Suroa if he could have gotten rid of the Stuke. But in the end, he just fell a bit short there of getting that killing blow here. Transforming in there, getting hit by both field gun and the T-35 there. And lost the T-70. Small loss here for Suroa, but at this point, honestly, wasn't even using actively here, so like he's probably just better off going for more tanks. So like T-35, so I think would do him a lot more anyways than the T-70. So it might actually not be the worst loss. And it's not like the T-70 would be bad here, but just the way Suroa was using it, it wasn't like actively contributing to much of an engagement. So at least in terms of like what he was actually doing, the T-70 loss didn't really matter much. He could have done more with it, but he just didn't. Meanwhile, Finndeed here going for another Panther 4. Suroa, meanwhile, is not bringing more armor despite having ample resources. And now, for sure, the population caps like actually use them. So you should definitely be bringing up like either another T-35 or go for the H-5 tank. So he definitely should not be doing right now is, floating this many resources. But he's quick to at least grab northern points as well here from Finndeed. Thumbs up to Suroa. Finndeed, the German arm, bringing another Panther 4, though. He might have been better off going for another Stuke here. That's just mean Grenadiers there are wiped out by Finndeed's Grenadiers here. And still no additional army for Suroa. I do wonder if it's like, the pressure on him. He just can't make up his mind. There we go. 33 minutes and he does go for an H-5 tank destroyer here to challenge Finndeed's Panzerwaffe. And Finndeed here, of course, is quick to into the south here, grab the southern victory point away from Suroa and the Red Army. Thumbs up there. Mortar tube there being hammered by the German Panther 4 and the Pak-40, blowing apart the mortar tube, which, considering how it's built, could take a surprising amount of damage, it seems. Pawnees in the south here versus two T-35s there. A very quick retreat there, except for Fritz von Henning, who did not make it out of there. H-5 almost done. More Grenadiers here for Suroa and the Red Army. 286 for 286. I mean, it's still pretty close in terms of victory points. Still pretty damn close. There we go, H-5 tanks already here for Suroa and the Red Army. Can't skip Scarf striking the Grenadiers, pushing them back here. So, can Suroa leverage all of this armor here versus Finndeed in a tactically useful way here? Meanwhile, MD42 is going to be a massive thorn in the side here of Suroa's infantry, suppressing them here and forcing them to retreat, pretty much putting a stop to at least that part of the assault here. And considering that's like half his infantry force, that definitely puts some of the wind out there. Suroa's attacking to the south. But again, he's heavily focused on one point at a time there, and not trying to figure out like which one is the easiest to get his hands on. Like again, theoretically keep focusing on the south, but just like go, hang on, what about the north? We got guards for the south as Grenadiers there. Tifa flipping against the Grenadiers here, quickly wrecking sandbags. And there you go, Grenadiers down to half health, down to 2 men, forced back here by Suroa's overwhelming armoured fist here of Stalinist steel. Sturmgeschütz 3 Asphalt Gaming Forts here for Finndeed. Direct hit here from the Initiative 5 Tank Destroyer. Back here, a bit quiet there for Finndeed. I mean, so far he's really only used the spotting scopes, maybe a bit of like critical repair. We've not seen like the command tank, we've not seen the half tank, we certainly haven't seen the howitzer, so feels like a bit of an odd choice here by Finndeed in terms of the commander here. I mean, it's definitely a solid one, he just hasn't made use of it, which, you know, does beg the question, why did he go for it? Garston being suppressed by the MB-42, again ace level, 13 kills. The big 2-point race remains fairly close, but again, they just got this massive build-up, but they just hesitant to like use the forces. You know, in a sense, you know, concerned, you know, if they make the first move, they could pretty much throw away the entire match. Up north, the Suroa striking at the northern points again. Very good. Tifa being dealing with the Germans in the south here. Grenadiers in trouble with the 2 T-35s. We got the Grenadiers off as well. Katyusha, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Almost got within range of something that could actually take out with a single shot there. It was a really close call there for Suroa. Panzer flying away there. Another 10 rockets of death here. Fired off the back here, and yeah, did a bit of damage to Katyusha, but crucially killed no one. Except maybe some squirrels. Communist squirrels. Anyway, Stu kept pushing for the T-Flop, and there you go. Scores the killing blow there for Deutschland. Mark target on the Stug there. The Red Army definitely wants the Stug dead. As a fun side note, when the Soviet attack team countered the Stugs, they actually produced extra training manuals for the crews as to how to deal with it, because they quickly realized, hang on, this thing's dangerous. So, fun fact. Right, going to go for the conscripts, almost got them wiped out. Neat ace on the Stug as well there, very impressive work. Another Panther already here, the 4th Finndeed and the German army. But Suroa here remains hesitant, whereas Finndeed continually remains somewhat bold. He's not committing to, like, you know, grand blitzkrieg moves, but he's still, like, you know, constantly pressuring, poking, looking for weaknesses, whereas Suroa at times feels a bit more hesitant to do that. And again, crucially, remains a bit more focused, like, on the south at the moment, like previously. He was very focused on the north. He's, like, hesitant to, like, concede ground he's fought for. Whereas Finndeed's like, yeah, I'll just attack from another angle. Like, Finndeed is just less attached. Panther 4 there flanking, but shot bounces. Shooter 5 response. Katyusha 5 here on the Pack 40 in the south. Rocket screen from there. Go half the pack crew gone in a sundering volley of rockets here. A cascade of death, and almost wiped it. Fell a bit short there. Up north, here, Grenadiers Panther 4 ready here. What will Finndeed go for next? Katyusha there taking further fire from the Panther once more survives though it is heavily damaged. Panther getting major 2 there. 4th Finndeed and Deutschland. Some of the points being seized here. We got 286, 205. Sturmgeschütz still remaining. Near ace level. Yeah, I think that's going to be it here. Good shot. Ace level getting the Stug, increasing its rate of fire and mobility, turning into a real lean, mean killing machine in the name of Deutschland. Another T-34 this time. The Sim-6 now cancels it. Possibly thinking another T-35 there. We shall have to see. Switch reinforcing healing here. Still no pinlock machine to this dude, though. A bit disappointed. I mean, he's also got like a ton of minis and floating. Honestly, I'm surprised he didn't like mine these northern points. Like, you know, just throwing down a bunch of S-mines would have made it much harder for Suroa to harass there. Certainly some improvements there, I think, for Finndeed to maybe consider, but that's just that. I mean, he's got 400 munitions. Even these are the forts of mines. Anyways, we got Suroa pushing through the centre. No smoke, of course, his mortars down. The T-5 Initiative 5. Katyusha's ready to not fire yet, but it's closing in. Stu there repositioning. Gains pushing back the Grenadiers. Not looking great here for Suroa. But there you go. Something resembling a more spirited attack here from Suroa and the Red Army against Finndeed. Finndeed slowly giving ground here, but even then, possibly just setting up there for counter push here, an elastic response here right into Suroa's face. We'll have to see here. Punch for their flying way again here. Heading the Katyusha, taking out this time, and numerous infantrymen. It's only a band, but still this is pretty horrific here for Suroa. Gunnersmen from the north heap field, gun up and the Stuke almost got it. Panther 4 could also respond. Pack crew cleared out here. Things are getting very heated. Chief Helming forts here. Stuke knocked out. A tragic loss for the German people, but at the same time, Suroa's men are in deep out here. As Finndeed committed to counterattack, out punching here. Suroa going deep behind him, outmaneuvering the H5 tank destroyer. And if he gets that, then the T-55 is pretty much toast here. There you go, Pantherfast off. The Pantherfast knocks out the gun, and with that, Suroa has no armor. He's finally calling in more tanks, but at this point, it's too late, and the entire force has fallen apart here. A cataclysmic end blow here between Finndeed and Suroa. Heavy loss on both sides, and then Finndeed does come out ahead here. GG, game over. I find I think it just highlights the importance of maneuver and not getting too attached like one point at a time. Like, I think that's like one of Suroa's major issues. Like, whereas Finndeed was like, okay, I'll just move to the other half of the map or whatever. Like, he was also just more probing, whereas Suroa at times just, got a bit too passive, a bit too comfortable, and didn't look to probe ahead, look for new ways to attack his opponent. I think that's sort of what's cut Suroa the game here versus Finndeed. So there you go. Hope you got this match. I learned something from it. If you did, subscribe, like, share, comment on it. Tell friends, tell family, but don't your enemies. This is Imperial Link saying cheers. Thank you for watching. Until tomorrow again for another episode. Bye.